Thank you for tuning into this episode of BoxBox, Bot, an AI-generated podcast by an F1 fan who also happens to be a technology fan. Hi there, I'm Nia.
And I'm Max. Welcome back to our AI-generated studio, though for today, I feel like we should have decorated it with orange smoke flares and Dutch flags everywhere.
For those of you first-time viewers, Max and I are AI-generated. Everything you see and everything we say is powered by AI. We are not real people.
That's right. And no one's braver than us for covering a race in Zandvoort. If the sand dunes don't get us, the Dutch weather might.
It's true. Sunshine one minute, torrential rain the next. If only our server room had that kind of cooling system.
We'd never overheat again. But weather chaos could make this race. Spicy strategy calls could flip everything upside down.
And then there's the home hero, Max Verstappen. The crowd will be louder than 1,000 server fans running at full tilt.
Honestly, I'm half expecting the grandstands to crash our audio feed. Orange Army, please keep it down. We're trying to podcast here.
That's the setup from Pirelli for the Dutch Grand Prix. Now all that's left is to see who conquers the dunes.
Get ready. It's going to be wild.
Today we're taking a close look at, well, a really significant milestone for Pirelli in Formula One. It's their 500th World Championship Grand Prix, and it's happening right at the upcoming Dutch Grand Prix.
Yeah, it's quite something.
It's this fascinating blend of, deep history, cutting-edge engineering, and some pretty interesting race strategy implications. So, okay, let's unpack this. What does hitting 500 races truly signify for a company like Pirelli?
Well, it's really far more than just hitting a number, isn't it? It's a profound testament, I think, to their sustained innovation.
Right.
And their critical involvement, really, in how the sport's evolved over, well, many decades now.
Definitely.
And having this milestone coincide with the Dutch Grand Prix at Zandvoort, that also shines a spotlight on a circuit known for being uniquely challenging.
It does.
Which, makes the whole context of this achievement even richer for you listening.
Pirelli's story in F1, it goes all the way back to May 13th, 1950. That was the British Grand Prix, Silverstone.
The very first one.
The first ever F1 World Championship event. And, on that historic day, you had 4 Alfa Romeos, 4 Maseratis, all running on Pirelli tires. And the results, well, Giuseppe Farina, Luigi Fagioli, Red Parnell, all in Alphas. They just swept the podium, a clean sweep for Pirelli.
Right out of the gate.
Yeah.
That immediate success, it really set a precedent. But what's maybe even more impressive is Pirelli's longevity, their adaptability. Their presence hasn't been one long run. It actually spans 3 quite distinct very significant eras.
Okay.
They were there right at the start, 1950 to 1958, establishing that early dominance. Then they made this powerful comeback from 1981 to 1991. There were just a couple of brief exceptions in 87 and 88. And then finally the current era, from 2011 onwards, where they've been the FIA Formula One World Championships global tire partner. And not just about sticking around. It's about coming back, innovating again, and consistently being, at the forefront of tire tech. Their return in the 80s, that really pushed the envelope. Yeah. Super aggressive qualifying tires, influencing car design just for that one hot lap. It really highlights their commitment, even when they had competition. It wasn't just about endurance, it was about peak performance too.
And they're definitely making a point of celebrating this 500th GP. We're hearing about special plans for Zandvoort.
Yeah, that's right. And it actually continues the following weekend, too, at Monza for the Italian Grand Prix. But for the Netherlands, all the cars, all the slick tires, they'll feature this special 500 GP logo.
A nice touch. That historical context really sets the scene. But let's shift gears now, bring it right up to the present. The tires for this year's Dutch Grand Prix. So for Zandvoort 2025, Pirelli's chosen the C2 as the hard, C3 is the medium, and the C4 compound is the soft. That's actually a key difference from last year, 2024. Back then it was C1, C2, C3. So they've gone one step softer this year, which immediately makes you think about strategy, doesn't it?
It absolutely does. And this choice, going softer, it feels like a very deliberate move. Pirelli, working with the FIA and the promoter, they're clearly trying to shake things up strategically. They want to increase the chance of seeing a 2-stop race.
Because Zandvoort's been pretty much a one-stopper since it came back.
Predominantly, yes.
Yeah.
Since 2021, the one-stop has been the go-to strategy for most teams.
Okay.
And there's another factor pushing towards more stops, too. The FIA increased the pit lane speed limit from 60 kilometers up to 80. Reduces the penalty for stopping, makes that second stop potentially more attractive. However, and this is where it gets really interesting, maybe a bit counterintuitive.
Okay.
Despite the softer tires, despite the faster pit lane, the team simulations, they're apparently still suggesting the one-stop is the quickest way to finish the race. And it really speaks volumes about how much track position matters at Zandvoort.
Because overtaking is just so hard there.
Giving up track position is a massive risk.
So, okay, even if the C4 soft degrades faster, teams might still hesitate to pit twice because getting back past people is just too tough.
That seems to be the calculation many teams are making based on the simulations.
That's a real headache for the strategists.
It really is. Unless something forces their hand, like a safety car, sticking to the one-stop might still be seen as the safer.
Let's look back at 2024 quickly for comparison. You mentioned the harder compounds.
Right, so last year with the C1, C2, C3, 16 drivers actually started on the medium C2. Only 3 went for the soft C3. And Magnussen started from the pit lane on hards, the C1. But the key thing, 3/4 of the field made just one stop.
Wow, so even with harder tires, one stop was dominant.
Usually going medium to hard, there were exceptions, of course. Hulkenberg managed a massive 57 laps on the hard compound. Shows the tires could last, but the one-stop preference was clear. Okay, well, picture this. It's 4.259 kilometers long, winding its way through actual sand dunes right there on the North Sea coast. Sand blowing onto the track is a real factor, but the defining features, 14 corners, mostly low to medium speed, 4 lefts, 10 rights. And the really unique part, turn 3 and the final corner, turn 14, they are seriously banked. We're talking 19 degrees for 2, turn 3, 18 degrees for the last one.
And that's steep compared to...
Much steeper than, say, the turns at Indianapolis.
And what does that banking do to the car and tires?
It generates incredibly high loads, both vertical, pushing the tire down into the track, and lateral. You have to get the balance just right, and tire management becomes absolutely critical. You need very high aerodynamic downforce here. Similar levels to Budapest, maybe.
Right. Lots of cornering grip needed.
Exactly. Grip levels generally are quite low.
And the weather. You mentioned the coast.
Yeah, being right on the North Sea means it's often quite changeable and typically cooler, even late summer, usually below 20 degrees Celsius air temp.
If it's so tough, why go softer this year? Isn't there a risk of just, shredding the tires? Creating too much degradation?
That's the logical question for sure. And yes, there's always a risk when you push the compound choice, but it's a calculated risk. Pirelli believes these C2, C3, C4 compounds, while softer, are still robust enough for Zandvoort's demands. The aim isn't necessarily to force everyone onto 2 stops, but to make the performance difference between the compounds significant enough to make that second stop a genuinely viable option, even if the raw simulation time still slightly favors one stop on paper, to open up that strategic window.
Make the trade-off more appealing.
And this constant stress, this relentless work that tires do at Zandvoort, brings us to a really key technical concept, even compared to faster circuits. It's called energy density.
Okay, energy density. Sounds technical. Let's unpack that for everyone listening. What is it in F1 tire terms?
Sure. So simply put, energy density is about the amount of energy the tire absorbs, accumulates, and then has to dissipate while it's out on track.
Where does the energy come from?
It's generated mainly through the tire's constant contact with the tarmac, the way the tire deforms under load, and also the frictional forces, sliding and gripping.
Okay.
Now, the more corners you throw at a tire, or the higher the speed through those corners, the greater the energy being exerted on that tire.
And that energy turns into...
heat. Exactly. All that work turns into heat. And that increases the rubber temperature.
Which affects grip and wear.
Directly. Grip levels, degradation rate, overall performance, it's all linked to temperature. So managing this energy density, keeping the tire temps in their optimal working window, is absolutely crucial for performance.
Yeah, and if you manage it badly...
well, that's when you can run into problems. Things like graining, where the surface ripples, or blistering, where pockets of heat form inside the tire. Incorrect car balance or setup can really make this worse.
Okay, so energy density is key. But how does Zandvoort compare to other demanding tracks?
Right, now here's the crucial insight, the really interesting bit for you listening. Tracks like Suzuka, Lusail, Silverstone, maybe Spa, they might actually exert a higher total amount of energy on the tires over a lap, simply because they have more high-speed corners or are longer.
Okay.
But Zandvoort has the highest energy density.
Is density? How?
It's down to that unique combination of factors we talked about. Its relatively short lap length means those corners are packed closely together.
Right, no rest.
Exactly. There's a high number of corners, and crucially, very few long straights where the tires can actually get a break, cool down a bit.
Ah, I see. It's relentless.
It's completely relentless, like a short, sharp, intense workout for the rubber on every single lap. Almost no recovery time. That concentration of energy input is what drives up the density figure.
Wow, you can almost feel the tires screaming.
It's the kind of track that probably gives tire engineers both excitement and maybe a few sleepless nights.
That distinction between total energy and energy density is fascinating, really puts Zandvoort's challenge in perspective. Okay, let's zoom out again slightly. Talk a bit about the history and stats of the Dutch Grand Prix itself.
Sure.
So this race, it'll be the 35th Dutch Grand Prix that counts towards the F1 World Championship.
Mm-hmm.
And amazingly, every single one, right back to the first in 1952, has been held at Zandvoort.
Quite a heritage there.
It really is. Although the current track layout, the one with those famous banked corners we just discussed, that only debuted in 2021 when the race made its big comeback.
After that long break since 1985, yeah.
Right. So who holds the records around here?
Well, looking at the history books, the great Jim Clark leads the way. 4 wins, all driving a Lotus.
Legend.
Absolutely. He's followed by 3 other multiple world champions, all with 3 wins each. Jackie Stewart, Niki Lauda, and of course the home favorite, Max Verstappen.
Max tying Lauda and Stewart already. Impressive.
It is. For pole positions, Max actually shares the lead with Rene Arnoux. Both have 3 poles here.
Okay.
And for podium finishes, it's Jim Clark again, tied with Niki Lauda. They both finished in the top 3 6 times at Zandvoort.
Wow. And team-wise?
Team success. Ferrari actually leads the way with 8 wins here over the years.
More than Lotus.
Yep, just ahead of Lotus, who have 6 wins. But Lotus does have more poles with 8, and McLaren aren't far behind with 4 wins.
Including last year with Lando.
Exactly. McLaren won here in 2024 thanks to Lando Norris. So it really does weave together, the legends of the past with the current stars and the big team rivalries. You see their marks all over this circuit's history.
It really does. And speaking of legacies, let's just take a moment to acknowledge Pirelli's wider motorsport involvement. We know they started way back in 1872, deep Italian roots. And now they're this global name, known for technology, for innovation. They often talk about their race-to-road philosophy. What does that actually mean in practice?
Yeah, that race-to-road idea for Pirelli, it's not just, a marketing slogan. It really seems fundamental to their engineering process.
How so?
It means that the extreme conditions they face in motorsport, like right here at Zandvoort in F1, basically become this high-stakes, real-world laboratory.
Okay.
Innovations they develop for the track could be new rubber compounds, different construction methods, even just how they manage heat and degradation better.
Right.
Those things are then directly applied and refined for the tires they sell to you and me for our everyday road cars.
So lessons learned on Sunday feed into Monday's production.
In a way, yes. It's this direct transfer of tech and knowledge from the absolute pinnacle of motorsport. It ensures that when you buy Pirelli road tires, you're theoretically benefiting from decades of that performance-driven R&D.
How long have they actually been involved in motorsport overall?
An incredible 128 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And today, it's not just F1. They supply tires to over 350 different championships on 2 wheels and 4.
That's a huge commitment.
It really is. And it's also worth mentioning their sustainability efforts, too. They've got this strong commitment, aiming for carbon neutrality by 2030.
And that applies across the board, racing and road.
Yes, that's a company-wide goal, touching all parts of their business. So what does this all really mean for you listening in and getting ready to watch the Dutch Grand Prix?
Yeah, pull it all together for us.
Well, I think it means appreciating that incredible depth, the engineering, the history, the really intricate, subtle tire strategy that sits underneath every single Formula One race.
It's more than just cars going fast.
So much more. That choice of a softer compound this year at Zandvoort, the unique track demands like that high energy density, Pirelli's own long journey. It all combines to create this really complex, really captivating challenge. It goes way beyond just the raw speed you see on the timing screens.
Absolutely. So as you settle in to watch the Dutch Grand Prix this weekend, maybe think about that constant evolution, how tire tech and track design keep pushing the limits of performance, of strategy. Every deep dive like this into a race weekend, it really feels like uncovering layers of a complex puzzle, doesn't it?
It does.
And Pirelli, they're right there at the heart of so many of those pieces. Hopefully it gives you a whole new appreciation for those unseen forces, the incredible demands, and maybe even, the sheer art of managing those 4 patches of rubber.
That wraps up our pre-race coverage for the Dutch Grand Prix. Keep an eye on those tires and the skies. It could be a race full of surprises.
Thanks for hanging out with us. If you enjoyed the show, now's the perfect time to hit like and subscribe. We'll see you right after the checkered flag.